Ladies and all gentle flavored men, welcome back to the channel. My name is Zeno, and it's time to do a follow-up VB on our Cardcaptor Sakura magical girl. I'm really excited. So her banner is about to leave, and as promised, I said I would do another dedicated video just for her alone. It's been nearly 3 weeks now since she arrived, and I did a first impressions video on her. I've learned a lot since then, not just in terms of wooer, but just Phoebe's gameplay and her different quirks overall. So let's just do a final review video, okay? And just to see if she is worth it or not, and if I'm happy with my pickup of all the different summons that it cost, which I already told you guys in the previous videos, it was a double pity, and I also had to practically pity a weapon. So it was like 210 plus. So it cost a lot to get to Phoebe, but if you know other videos and you've watched them already, you kind of already know the answer of what I think about Phoebe. She's the goddamn cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. I've only had her for 1 day. If anything happens to her, I'm gonna burn down Rita Cedar. I still stand by that, by the way. If anything, I love her even more now. And I will still burn down Rita Cedar. Before we get too far in the video though, remember guys, if you like what I do here, just giving my casual opinion in some average content, remember to like the video so YouTube knows it doesn't totally suck. Subscribe if you're new, I upload every sometimes maybe. Join the Discord, follow me on Twitter, become a member of the channel for only $2, all that great stuff. But yeah, without further ado, let's just do a post analysis on Phoebe, but please keep in mind this is from a casual player's perspective. If you are looking for a meta and number crunching video where I break down the differences between Phoebe and all the other DPS resonators, there is other channels that I would recommend for that. That's definitely not me. So now that I've gotten Peebs built up with some fairly decent, strong echoes, and even with a subpar team of supports backing her up on my account, I would say that Phoebe is a monster unit in versatility. One thing to immediately note about Phoebe, she is very free-to-play friendly. I mentioned this in the first impressions, and I stand by that as well. You can almost argue that she is the definition of a free-to-play unit, with an excellent free-to-play weapon from the current 2.1 fishing event, an excellent partner in Rover, with every single person can obtain for free at S6, who also just got buffed recently with the inclusion of the Spectro Frazzle debuff. There is an excellent free-to-play friendly support like Verena, which can be chosen for free if you use your standard ticket on, which is exactly what I did when I started the game in 2.0. You can have a full up and running Spectro Frazzle team with a strong support at almost zero cost. And so while I am still learning all the kits and characters in the game overall, so please do correct me in the comment section down below if I'm wrong, but I am not sure there is another limited 5-star unit in the game that has been released that fits all of this criteria at once. Even 3+ weeks later, I stand by it. Phoebe is one of the best investments for newer, casual, returning, and just average players in general. This isn't even thinking of the fact that half of her kit, which is the blue debuffing stance, is basically locked off for now in team comps, so until we get another character in the future which can utilize this, Phoebe will actually age better over time, and that just really excites me for her future as well. As for building Phoebe herself, it's just another massive pro, and she is one of the best echo sets in the game at the moment, to me anyway, personally. A free 20% crit rate on the full set is insane substat leniency. It allows you to actually just reach close to, or basically on, like my current build, 100% crit rate, with a support like Shorekeeper maybe as well in the team, which would completely just overcap it. This is 100% what you should be using if you are farming for Phoebe, as the full set is just way too valuable, and you can even also use some of the off pieces on Rover as well if you want Rover to do more personal damage. And it just makes building Phoebe far easier than most other characters, which is just another massive plus to the player-friendly narrative. Phoebe just has a ton of pros for casual players. One of the main ones is the gliding on her staff, and for newer players to the game or people that didn't explore the 1.x maps, the fact that you can double glide or even incorporate the grapple to do it 3 times, it speeds up exploring immensely. I cannot stress how useful this is to people who joined the game later on, like me, or in 2.0, to those that just didn't enjoy the opening maps and areas of Woowa and still need to go back to fully finishing them off. We don't know what the future's going to hold for exploration in Withering Waves. The next region might not even have flying. It could be something completely different traversal-wise, but Phoebe's exploration I do think will 100% stand the test of time. There just hasn't been another character that has had this level of mobility in the open world, and as Woowa is a open world exploration game foremost before its skilled combat, Phoebe is, in my opinion, the top resonator for this. And this doesn't even take into account something else, which is just her ease of use in general, the range of her attacks, the AoE, and how easy she is to pilot for any type of player. She is also just another unit that, while can be tricky to fully master in the heat of battle, the higher endgame modes like Tower of Adversity, Whimpering Waste especially, but she is easy to understand, pick up, and play. Phoebe's attack range can hit groups of enemies from quite far away, and while you might do less damage if you're outside of your ring that you summon with your skill, she is safer for the gamers that maybe have a harder time keeping up with close quarters combat or even mobile players. She's also just casual friendly in the sense that for those that want to wander around after a long day at work or study like myself, don't want to have to min-max combat rotations and swapping characters, she's literally a hold down the button for the yellow DPS stance, you mash the attack button, hold down heavy when it flashes, and that's it, repeat. Very easy to use, very satisfying. Okay, so now we've glazed our favorite magical girl for a bit, let's chat about one of the downsides. One major con for Phoebe is, at the moment, is she is absolutely tied to Spectro Rover. There is no getting around this. If you want to play Phoebe in basically any game mode, and even to a, I would say, small degree sometimes in the overworld exploration, you need another character to implant Spectro Frazzle stacks. And as of recording, this is Spectro Rover. So if you don't like Rover in general, let alone Spectro Rover, or maybe you have Havoc Rover built instead, and you've never built them before, you've got no echoes, no skill trees, no weapons, which again I find probably very unlikely if you've been playing for any long period of time. But if you haven't or don't want to build them, Phoebe's usability drops off a cliff. However, because of what I mentioned prior about how free to play Spectro Rover is especially, I still barely see this as an issue, but it is 100% a negative until future units arrive, please be Zani. One of the other issues with using Spectro Rover specifically though is they have a pretty bad AoE in terms of applying Spectro Frazzle stacks. So if you encounter situations where you need to swap back to Rover to buff Phoebe, whether it's group of enemies spawning in, a boss that maybe has like a second form, or you have to wait for a transition phase, or even just some general overworld, and outside of single targets and maybe with some skilled play to enemies, applying them with Phoebe can be difficult. I personally have struggled, I've made mistakes, and I'm still not the greatest at it, and I will get better over time, but it is a pretty big downside for some of her gameplay. We will just have to wait for either an off-field Spectro Frazzle applier, or just to use her as the applicator herself for another DPS down the line. Please be Zani. Speaking of teams though, outside of Spectro Rover, she can work with most of the other basic supports in the game. I've seen people use her with Mortifi, Verena, Shorekeeper, Sanhua. I've seen her being used in dual comps with Chang-Li, Carlotta, Zhang Liao. Are they all optimal? No, not always, but I've seen the clears, I've seen the videos, and I've seen the results, and it definitely does work. Just briefly on endgame modes, the last Tower of Adversity that just left the rotation as of recording was heavily incentivized to use Spectro units. In fact, I saw like tons of videos of Spectro Rover soloing some of the stages with how powerful the Spectro buff was, so it's kind of hard to say from my own perspective, because as you saw in my last video, I am still learning and getting more characters to even clear Tower of Adversity fully for the first time. However, she absolutely helped me clear the left side, and I have seen many other people clear with her middle stages, the left. She definitely is a good Tower of Adversity unit. He shines more in TOA specifically because of single target big bosses, so that way her teammate Rover can actually have better chances to optimize their gameplay and apply Frazzle stacks. And Phoebe's mobility as well, with her dodge counter, it can activate her heavy attack, it makes her perfect to move around the battlefield and decimate the enemies. I think that unless Spectro is resisted, she will continue to be a top and comfortable pick for TOA, especially as her teams get better in the future. Please be Zani. Can't speak much on Whimpering Waste, as unfortunately I still haven't tried it. but everything I've seen from other creators and other videos and channels and online, she does struggle without more skill involved. It's as Whimpering Waste is a little bit more of a swarm-based mob game mode, reapplying Frazzle is honestly quite difficult with Spectro Rover, although this is where I've seen the quick swap teams that I just mentioned come into play. And she can still do okay damage AoE-wise, even if she doesn't have someone that really like applies lots of Spectro Frazzle very fast, but it does take a lot more effort to make her work. She's definitely far from the worst, and she will be able to clear if you got her built up and you put some skill into it and you practice. But she's also definitely just not the best at the moment. Not until we get future units. Please be Zani. All in all, whether it's Overworld ease of use due to the combat, gliding, the team building with the free-to-play options galore, or the fact that we just haven't unlocked her final form yet in her debuffing stance, I think Phoebe is and was a fantastic pickup for me personally. Super fun to play, extremely flashy, and will continue to age well into the future as we get more and more units that have Spectral Frazzle in their kits. Please be Zani. And only then will Phoebe stonks rise up. And so that pretty much wraps up the video. A bit of a shorter video today, but that was definitely scripted. Hopefully you could sense that, because I just wanted to make sure the video was a little bit more tight and concise than usual, because I tend to ramble a lot, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. But I have really, really enjoyed using Phoebe the last nearly three weeks now. If you picked her up and you're enjoying her, what's your favorite thing about Phoebe? You guys have seen, obviously, on screen and in my last progress report video, the different stats and echoes that I have for Phoebe. Mine's pretty strong, so I'm very happy with where she's sitting right now. But yeah, as for, I'll do these videos when I can, but it requires me to actually summon and get the character. And as I'm not going for Brant, who's the next character as of recording, I won't be able to do these types of videos for Brant, which does suck, but it's fine. It is what it is. I'll still do something for him. Otherwise, I might even do one for Chang-Li, because I want to build her over the next 3 weeks when it reruns here, and then by the end of that, I'll probably do one for Chang-Li. But anyway, I'm rambling, which is exactly what I said I would do if I didn't script my goddamn videos. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Nonetheless, I hope you guys are having a fan-freaking-tastic rest of the day, and as always, my name is Zeno. You guys take care now.